Oh, hi.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Sharon Burstein, and I'm your host this afternoon, and we have an incredible guest, but I'm going to introduce her in just a minute. But be prepared. She is a ball of energy, and we are going to have the best time. So I hope you are well prepared. Our program today is brought to you again by the YWCA and Club 1888, helping women from all over of all ages. And so let me tell you just a little bit about our very special guest. She's a business owner. She was C-suite before, but she is all about helping people up, building women up to be their absolute best. She's a member of the Forbes coaching group. She has been recognized by LinkedIn as a top coach. And if you are so amazing to be able to work with her on a mastermind or have her on your stage, you will be very, very fortunate. But what I also love about this very special guest is she's got the heart of gold. She is amazing. She's a giver. She's a mom of two amazing kids and very talented in every way. Let me tell you, we are going to have pure fun today. So with that, please give it up and welcome our very special guest. Miranda VonFricken is in the house, and I am so, so excited. Welcome, Miranda. Yay. How are you?
Hi, Sharon. Thank you. What a wonderful introduction. I feel very elevated just by you introducing me.
Well, you know what? You are always so much fun. And for everybody who's with us today, Miranda and I have had the pleasure of working together. She's shared my stages. We've shared other stages together, and she is just an amazing person. So it was really so much fun to have her on today. But without further ado, Miranda, I know everybody who's watching this is dying to know a little bit more about you. So would you share?
I'd love to. Thank you. My cheeks are hurting already, Sharon, from all of our fun. Oh my gosh, I don't know if I can make a half hour of smiling. Well, thank you again for this. I'm super honored to be here. Thank you, YWCA of Northeastern New York, for having me, and the Butterfly Effect. I'm super pumped to be here. A little about me. So if anyone follows me on LinkedIn, you pretty much have the gist of who I am. I'm a ball of fire, high energy. My whole jam is helping to elevate and help women engage in their life and career, whether it is them as a 9-to-5er, whether they are working to start their own business, or if they're a stay-at-home mom and they're looking to just get community going again, get a group of women to help them just love their life again. And I'm super pumped for multiple things of what I get to do, right? So I was a 9-to-5er. You are correct. I spent 15 years in the corporate environment, helping professionals to find the right opportunity as a recruiter, as a talent director, and as a career director in higher education. So I started as a career coach. And from there, little nuggets of inspiration kind of sparked, and I started kind of a side hustle, if you will, writing resumes and helping people to find opportunities. And then it's just progressed over the last 5 or so years, turned into really owning essentially a LinkedIn agency, if you will, helping from corporate sales teams to small businesses to personal brands elevate their message and their voice on the LinkedIn platform.
And that's great. But I want to go back, because this is where you are now. Yes. You're very successful, and you just continue to soar, just like we're talking about the butterfly effect here with the YWCA, helping people to soar. And by the way, I am so honored that you're here today, because you know what? This is the grand finale of season 1. So that makes you even more special, my dear.
I don't think I can handle all that specialness.
Hey, but
a lot of special going on.
What I want to go back is, let's reverse. Instead of going forward, let's reverse it for a minute.
Sure.
Tell me a little bit about who was your inspiration, or who inspired you when you were younger?
Well, when I was younger, I have to say, up until I was an adult, and even still to this day, of course, was my mother. To be honest, she had me very young, and she always promoted education and speaking your voice and being true to who you are. So, from a very young girl, I was very blessed to have an extremely strong mother, and she was a single mother. So, it was her and I against the world. So, it was a pretty cool experience growing up having your mom be your best friend, right? So, I always looked up to her for her high level of education, for her passion for learning and knowledge, and then applying that knowledge, right? So I grew up knowing I would go to college, I would study as hard as I could to get a really good job, and then just, it's funny, from that point forward, I wasn't sure what was next, right? So then you start looking for adult mentors, right? So from
You
there,
beat me to the punch for my next question. Who was, mom is number one.
Yes, of course.
So going forward in your career path, who would you say is your best or biggest or first major mentor beside mom?
So it's funny. I haven't had an official mentor until I entered my late 30s, as crazy as that sounds. But because of the influence of my mother utilizing the people around us or the people who have done things before us to use them as inspiration, I was able to really almost virtually, before virtual was a thing, utilize other women that I saw, like Barbara Walters or Oprah Winfrey, utilize them as an inspiration, as what possibly I could do after college, right? So I studied communication and journalism, and I really wanted to be the next Barbara Walters. And so I utilized a lot of what I saw outside of my environment as an inspiration. But then as I got into the corporate environment, a lot of my bosses became mentors, whether they were official or they were just teaching me the ropes in that opportunity I was in. A lot of them, it's funny, looking back, I could say they were very strong mentors for me, but in the moment, it was a different feeling when they're your bosses, right?
Well, you know what I call those, Miranda? I call those threads of life. And what I mean is you're a thread in my life, people you are engaged with, but also if you like something, a mentor, you talked about Barbara Walters, Oprah Winfrey, and a lot of the different other women who've been part of your life. You know, the nice thing is you can take little threads and nuggets. What is it that resonated with you? And build each of those elements into your life, build those into your leadership, how you live, how you build your business, how you interact with people, and all of those great things. So you know, the nice thing is you haven't just had one, you've had a plethora, you've had the whole bouquet of mentors.
I mean, the whole world.
And you know what? The nice thing is, you know, and I think that's great. Some people go searching and go, oh my gosh, who has been my mentor? Do I need one? And it's like, sometimes people haven't even really thought about the positive people in their lives. For me, my very first mentor and the biggest influence was my grandmother. And you've heard me speak.
Yeah.
I speak about her all the time. And I love that your mother was such a great mom because, you know, honestly, my mother probably wasn't, but I know when you have children, which you have two great children, you know, you get to weave and develop your sense of motherhood the way you wished yours had been. And I just think that I love how your mother was really ahead of the curve, really building you to achieve and grow and really try things. So she was so well ahead of the curve. Miranda, kudos. Give mom, please, a hug and a big pat on the back.
Well, I think she's watching, so she should do a little celebrating.
Well, please, mom. This is my mom dance for you, Miranda.
There you go.
Mom, because I think you are absolutely awesome and so on point. So tell me, you were in corporate America and you left. I mean, we all kind of have some of those stories as we started our own businesses, but what's yours? What was the pivotal point that made you make that shift?
So it's funny, there's this thing I say often is when the universe knocks and you don't answer, it finds a way to make you answer, right? Because when you are called to do something on this earth and you're fighting it, the world, the universe, God, it's all got a way of making sure that you get back on the right path, right? So for me, I don't have one of those stories where I knew I was going to be an entrepreneur and I was just biding my time. My story is from a layoff, right? I was an unemployed career coach, and boy, did that hit me in the feels. It was a hard identity sort of crisis for me back in 2015, and when I was laid off from an opportunity that I had really fought hard to achieve, right? The highest title, where I was making what I thought was a great amount of money. And then they were bought out, and they ended up position eliminating myself and 18 others across the whole United States. So it was a low blow. It really messed with my identity, but that gave me the opportunity. And that's really where I started changing my mind, right? The paradigm had shifted for me as to what my career needed to look like. And I always kind of like, my claim to fame in my own head professionally was I was the youngest director on that campus. I wore a suit to work. I was one of the only female directors, and I was leading other directors. So that was really cool for me. I thought like, wow, like I made it. And then all of a sudden, they didn't want me anymore. And I know it's not emotional like that. It was a business decision, but I had been for years contemplating, but I never grew up around entrepreneurs. So I didn't really have the biggest like understanding of what they did. I knew like business owners were people I worked for. It was never something I thought I would become until, you know, I started doing a lot more personal development, right? I ended up getting my master's, getting certified as a life coach. And through all of that work, I really started to believe in myself and believe in the fact that God had put me on that path for a reason. That layoff taught me so much that I still use to this day. And a few other things happened in my life that really changed my mindset and my heart and where I'm meant to be. And it just taught me to follow the call. Right. And that's what I do working with other women, is teach them to follow the call on their heart.
You know, and you're so point on, because I too, as you know, work with a lot of women. And so often as women, we're so busy helping everybody else that we forget to take time for ourselves and building ourselves and everything. So I want you to, again, go back a little bit, because you've achieved so much. You know, and one of the things that I love is talking about your purpose and passion and how you continue to be a lifelong learner, which is key and vital. So here's a question though for you, Miranda. What advice would you give your 21-year-old self? Looking forward, looking backward.
There is so much I would tell that woman. First, I'd say, leave that boy. He's not for you. As a 21-year-old, right? You always looking back, at hindsight's 2020. But I would say a few things. I actually love the idea of visualization time travel. That's one of my like biggest big jams that I love to be a part of. And I do it often. And sometimes I travel back to 16 because I was a cheerleader in high school and that was fun. But 21 is also a pivotal year for me. I was in college. I was actually making the decision to choose one college over another. And I would tell myself a few different things. One, I would tell myself that it is super important to be smart and learn how to work with your money. Right? I know that's not something very like we often talk about as women, is how to manage our money. But I would probably be like a thousandaire by now. If I knew how to manage my money better back in my 20s. So I would say
that is so true.
You know, it's hilarious. So definitely learn how to manage my money would be one. But then the more internal piece would be to find God, because I hadn't found my faith or God until I'd say in my probably early 30s. So I would say to seek him out, and he is our first motivational speaker. I know it's way more than that, trust me, but it's for me, I really align Jesus's teachings with what I teach now to other women about, being true to who you are, helping others, be a giver. And there's so much more, but I would say absolutely learn to invest your money, learn to manage it better, find God, and then of course, drink more water. That's just always something.
Drink more water. But
Drink more water, girl.
Let's just talk about women for a minute. Yes. Because people, before you can lead yourself or become successful, you've got to believe in the person you are. Yes. You've got to believe in yourself, and you need to like yourself. Mm-hmm. And, so many women I know that I spend time working with, building women up to see greater possibilities and give them more confidence. How do you find that women are from when they start with you to when they kind of move through some of the different steps that you work with women?
So usually it's funny, they're all different, right? There is not a cookie cutter way to coach a woman to her definition of success. And as a coach, it's not my responsibility to essentially lay out a plan for her. I can listen to her thoughts, kind of pull out and extract some of the action items that she's talking that she wants to implement. But I don't set out a plan for women per se. I bring up topics and we have in-depth conversations about certain areas in our life. And then I listen. In the beginning, there's a lot of crying. There's always a lot of crying. For some reason, I get women to really open up early on, whether it's they feel comfortable around me or I infuse humor in everything I do. And I'm very transparent. My raw ability to just tell the truth and tell it like it is, I think is something that women really resonate with. They're sick of kind of having people kind of slow things down or kind of over-explain things to them. So me just kind of giving it how it is, they're like, oh my gosh, you're so right. Thank you so much for saying that. So they feel instantly comfortable, which then leads to tears when they talk. From there, the progression, whether I'm working with them as a career coach and that with that hat on, or a life coach or a business coach, whatever hat we're working on, there's always this beautiful moment where you see a shift, like a light kind of come on in their head and their confidence changes a little. They sit up straight. You actually see them on the next Zoom call dressed a little nicer, or they've done their hair and makeup because now they want to honor the life they're meant to have and represent that life in every area. So it's not just I'm coming to you in my pajamas because it's just me and you on a Zoom. It's I came feeling amazing and proving that by the way I'm showing up, right? So show up differently, not just with hair and makeup, but just their energy is different,
and you
right?
want that, the energy,
Absolutely.
it's, inside, outside, and it's all around. And that's, when I do and work a lot with leadership image and what that, but you're really looking at a whole person approach, with your coaching and everything. So here's a question. And I know there are a lot of women who are probably watching this today and probably some men too. So the question I have to you is, at what age or when you're thinking about a coach, what should be the deciding coach? Why should people have a coach to help them? How do you help them? How do you help people the most?
Of course. So I think everybody should have a coach, right? Like I have a coach. I actually have multiple coaches.
I have several coaches.
I have several coaches from because everyone has a specialty, right? And it's almost like going to a surgeon. There's this general surgeon, which is great and can probably do a few things. But if you've got something going on in your brain, you want the neurosurgeon. You want the specialist. So I have a few specialists I work for, everything from my energy to my business and everything in between. There is a difference between a therapist and a coach. So I would recommend both. If you feel you need a therapist, try both, right? And try both simultaneously. I have a few clients that have both. And sometimes they'll say, I'm paying you more than my therapist, but I am getting a little more out of it. And I'll laugh because I'm like, oh, I make more than a therapist? Don't mind if I do.
But it's not about what it is. It's an investment in yourself.
100%.
And that's what I talk about, whether you're coming to a seminar, I do executive professional development, speaking, whatever it is. If you are taking time to attend a mastermind, a seminar, a retreat, investment in coaching, self-development, you are investing in yourself. And you know what? Anytime you are doing it, that pays lifelong dividends.
It does.
And it takes you to the next level. And every person deserves, just like a butterfly, to soar and fly.
Yeah. Now, what's funny too, even pressing send on a payment will change a woman's whole demeanor, right? Just saying yes to herself. And it actually happened to me twice, which is how I know this is true. And anytime I'm at that step in a conversation with a potential client, I tell them my story and I tell them, go home and marinate on it, right? Like, don't just go hit send and send me money. Go home and marinate on it. Talk to whoever you need to talk to. But let me tell you my story when it comes time to investing and maybe stretching myself a little, depending on what I'm investing in. But more recently, I signed up with a coach well outside of our area. And boy, is she pricey. But let me tell you, in the 4 weeks I've been with her, my business has essentially doubled in just 4 weeks. And so I signed up for a year because even hitting the yes to me button. I think all the buttons shouldn't say submit. They should say yes to me. And then you click the button, because there is such an amazing shift that happens when
it's an empowering shift.
Yes, when we say yes to ourselves and then invest financially, more than likely we're going to invest our time more because we've already paid. It's rare that somebody pays for coaching that you and I provide and just don't show up, right? That's rare. We're not doing like the online courses they can pay $99 and then if they press play, great. You and I show up in person for these people. So the odds of them showing up for themselves are even higher. But saying yes to yourself, whether it's life coaching, business coaching, it always pays back for years. You always reap the rewards. That return on your investment is triple or more just because the minute you hit send, it starts.
You know, and one of the other things, it totally does. And so often we get caught up in our little safe areas. And it's when you step out of the box, as you press send, when you press send in something like that, you've moved out of your box and you've changed the water of your fishbowl. Lots of times. And, you know, one of the things I like to talk about, I think you agree, we've talked about this, is your network really affects your net worth. And sometimes you may be very comfortable and you have this great group or you're doing something, but you want to grow and be better and you don't know how. And that's where a life coach, something in professional development, it's that next little thing that helps push you and help you to the next level. So I think that's a wonderful thing that you also do. So here's a question for you, because you know me, I love questions.
I love answering them.
What's an interview question that nobody, Miss Miranda, has ever asked you?
So this is a good one. I like this type of question, and it's rare. So whether I am interviewing based on the women empowerment side of what I do or the tactical business logistics LinkedIn side of what I do, not one person has ever asked me where God is in my business. And for me, that's a pivotal question. And that's something I actually bring up when they say, like, what else do you want to talk about? I will bring him up specifically in my business on purpose. On purpose, because first of all, if it wasn't for me finding my faith, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. Right. So I'd be alive. I just wouldn't be as fulfilled. I wouldn't be as centered as I am. So asking me, where is God in your business, which is something I ask all of my clients, whether they believe in the same God I do or don't believe in God.
Some people are religious and some people are more spiritual.
Absolutely. And I want to honor them and what they feel connected to that's larger than themselves. Even if they say it's my community is my faith and I'm all in, right? So for me, where is God in your business? Every single morning, I praise Jesus for waking me up, for my feet hitting the floor. And then I do the same thing when I come in this space, my office. I have a vision board. I have a success board, which is kind of cool, but I actually call my vision board and I call on my divine board of directors, right? So I'm a team of one.
Absolutely. I love that. With Napoleon Hill, since reading that years ago, I have my board of directors and, you know, aren't they wonderful?
So it's my divine board of directors specifically because it is Jesus. It is the Holy Spirit. It is God. It is my angels or my spirit animals. It's funny, from everything that's like real and true and whole to me, I ask for guidance in my business because I am holding women's lives in my heart and in my hands. And I want to do what's best for them. Take me out of it and help me to be the best coach I can be, but also help me to be extremely lucrative and to make all the monies.
Absolutely. Okay, so here's a question. What is your very special talent in life? Aside from your professional talent, what's your secret sauce?
First, I would say probably my crazy pants high energy, right? No matter where I am, you're going to get something crazy from me at some point. You're going to laugh. We're going to have a good time. And I think with that, it kind of, it calms people in the moment. So then that raw transparency can come out and really help people. So I do have a nice blend of the feminine and masculine energy. So I think that's kind of rare. Sometimes I've had coaches who are like really tough cookies and they're like, you need to do this. blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And they're very strict and we're following numbers and metrics. I've had coaches that are, let's dance, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I need that blend. And so do most women. We have an equal feminine and masculine energy. So I think the fact that I can tap into both is pretty rare.
Yeah, you know what, when you're talking about that, and we all have different personalities.
Yes.
And one of the things before you can really coach or do anything effectively or sell anybody is the great skill of listening. Because when you listen and you hear something, that's when you can give back to people and formulate all of those kinds of plans. So I've got to ask you this. What is the best advice anyone has ever given Miranda VonFricken?
The funniest part, Sharon, is that we did not rehearse this conversation, but you led into my best piece of advice I was ever given, was to breathe first, then speak. Because, I mean, you hear me, I'm all over the place, right? So I have a lot to say, but the woman who spoke to me, oh my gosh, I was probably 21 at the time, which is hilarious that we spoke about being 21. She said, you've got so many amazing things to say, but no one will receive it the right way and the way it's meant to be received if you're so blah, 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 high energy, crazy pants. Like we love your energy, but we also want to make sure that to kind of calm yourself. And that's what the breathing will do. Take a deep breath, listen to the words. I never prepare an answer until I hear the entire question on purpose. Because I've been trained that way.
Listen to learn.
Absolutely. And that's where you'll get the best part of me. The better answer isn't when my brain is multitasking or trying to task. I've learned recently it's switch tasking. That trying to hear you and trying to formulate an answer is not going to give you the best answer because I may miss a part of the question.
No, it needs to be, good conversation. It needs to be really spontaneous. But, one of the things, and I know you've been at some of my events like Leadership Summit America. You've shared my stage at Leadership Summit. I hope you're coming back October 28 and 29. And what I love, are really, of course, and that's what we're really talking about today on the butterfly effect here with the YWCA, which also does an amazing job of building women up. Club 1888 is amazing at bringing women together. And I know we all look forward to being together more live and wish this interview could be live at this point as well. But, at Uniquely You in July, I have a wonderful event that's a retreat just for women. That's all about building you. And so one of the things I want to tell everybody, all you women out there, is take a time out for yourself. Build yourself up and find people around you who will help build you up. And the other thing, aside from coaches, is having accountability partners that will hold you and hold your feet to the ground and whatnot. So I know these are all great things, and I know there's so much on my website, on my talking and speaking all over the world. And by the way, Miranda, I'm so glad I was back in Louisville last week speaking, and still just did a Zoom talk live from San Francisco last week. And I know you're getting anxious. You're traveling again too. And isn't it great that life is coming back so much? We're getting a little closer to normal.
A little closer, yes. I'm very grateful for the opportunity that being home has provided myself and my family. I think this pandemic has done a lot of good and bad, of course, and I always try to look for the good. And there has been loss during this, but the gain has been for us to, as business leaders, to be more effective with our time, to be able to serve more women in our community, and to really be able to not only serve more, but be there more with our families while we're here.
It has, and family time is such a great time. And I have such a wonderful, close, loving family, and I'm filled with gratitude every day. So I always wake up with an attitude of gratitude. And Miranda, I want to thank you for being with us today. You have been such a fun ball of energy. I love our time together. And to you, all of our viewers and listeners today, I'm Sharon Burstein. Miranda VonFricken is here with us today on behalf of the YWCA Club 1888. We are delighted that you chose, and you did choose, to spend your time with us today. So I know we feel the same, Miranda. We want you to go out, have a great day,
Thank
Be
you.
kind. Do something great for yourself, but also do something wonderful for someone else.
Absolutely.
So until we see each other the next time, have a great afternoon and take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.